Okay, so we were discussing about electrodes. That is the point from unit number 1. So yesterday, in the earlier lectures, we have seen what do you mean by bioelectric potential, and for the measurement of this bioelectric potential, the what electrodes we use, those electrodes we call them as biopotential electrodes. Okay, because they are measuring biological potential. This all we have discussed. Actually, there are some ionic potentials, and those ionic potentials should be converted into electronic potentials so that we can measure it with the help of electrodes. So we have discussed this yesterday. The electrodes are required either for stimulation purpose, that means externally for supplying power, giving some electrical signal to the tissue or some organ of the body, or for the measurement of some physiological parameters. Okay, so we also discussed there are three types of electrodes: microelectrodes, skin surface electrodes, and needle electrodes. So that we'll see those type of electrodes today. Okay, then we have seen this also we have discussed, but today we will need this. That's why I am again discussing. Uh, there is an instrument on one side, and on the other side there is a tissue or the organ or the body, whatever physiological parameter we are going to measure. Now the instrument, it is connected to some electrode. Now this electrode, it is not directly connected to the tissue. There is some electrolyte used. Okay, so there is so that's why there is a metal electrolyte interface, and that electrolyte and on the other side there will be electrolyte skin interface. So here there will actually, it is like this: skin or the tissue, then electrolyte, and last it is the electrode. Then finally electrode can be connected to the instrument. Okay, then lastly it is some instrument. Okay, so this electrolyte, it is some solution. We use some electrode jelly here. Okay, so based on this, we are saying it works like a junction diode. So some voltage is developed on the two sides of the electrode, some negative charge and the positive charge, and because of that, okay, so the charge distribution on one side there is a electrode, on other side there is a electrolyte. So it produces some charge distribution as shown in this diagram: positive charge layer and a negative charge layer, and it will give rise to some capacitance. Because okay, so on one side there is a positive charge, other side there is a negative charge. Okay, and there is a conductor, so it behaves like a capacitor. So that's why the equivalent circuit for this metal electrode interface can be represented in terms of some capacitance. Okay, and there is some resistance also, opposition to the flow of current, and the electrode potential, which is represented by E here. So these three components, they will represent the interface, this metal electrolyte interface, and based on that we can we can represent this in the form of some equivalent circuit. Now this half cell potential, this also we have discussed. Okay, so a characteristic potential difference is established by the electrode and its surrounding electrolyte. Okay, now this potential developed, it depends upon the metal, its concentration. Metal means the type of metal, its concentration of the ions in solution, and the temperature. So it depends on these three factors and some other second order factors. Okay, so this is called as the half cell potential. Now this half cell potential, see, we know, as we have studied many in our electronics engineering, potential, it is always measured with reference to some other potential. Okay, so in this case, the hydrogen electrode, it is taken as the reference, and the potential of hydrogen electrode, it is assumed to be 0. So with reference to hydrogen electrode, actual potential of hydrogen electrode, it is not 0, but it is taken as a reference. So that's why we set it as 0, and with reference to hydrogen electrode, we measure the potentials of all other electrodes. Okay, so for example, this is the okay. So we were discussing about the half cell potential. So as I said, half cell potential of hydrogen electrode, it is assumed to be 0, and the most widely used electrode, it is silver chloride or silver, and the reason we said, it is very stable, hence it is used in ECG electrodes. Okay, now we'll discuss some electrodes now. Now this is a very ancient electrode, the original Cambridge electrocardiograph. So this was developed in 1912. Okay, you can see here the person here who is under the, we call it as the subject. Okay, so one hand, there are two buckets, and the two he has immersed his one limb and hand inside the electrolyte. So these two buckets are filled with some electrolytes. Okay, so that is how it was developed. It started in 1912, and this is the instrument what you see here for measurement of ECG. Most of the things are mechanical here. Okay, now with regard to this electrodes, we'll see what we mean by polarization. Okay, so now as we have discussed, at the boundary, at the interface between electrode and electrolyte, there is some potential, electric potential is developed, and that potential we call it as the half cell potential. Okay, now this half cell potential gets altered when there is current flowing in the electrode due to electrode polarization. So because of polarization, the half cell potential, it gets affected, and it is called as the over potential actually. So it is the difference between the observed half cell potential with current flow and the equilibrium zero current half cell potential. Okay, now the effect of this is that it is just like a charging and discharging of the capacitor. As the capacitor keeps on charging, the charging current reduces. So the similar thing happens in case of electrodes. Because of this polarization, there is reduction in the current. Okay, so over potential is the difference between the observed half cell potential and current flow, and the equilibrium zero current half cell potential. It is one of the important factor. Okay, now why this over potential is developed? So it is because of two factors. We call it as polarization. It is because of three factors. First one, it is the ohmic over potential. We call it as the ohmic over potential. It is the voltage drop along the path of the current, and the current changes resistance of electrolyte. Okay, and which causes voltage drop. Thus, a voltage drop does not follow Ohm's law. Okay, so that actually affects its regular potential. Okay, so that is the effect of this. So in short, this is because of the ohmic voltage drop. Then the other factor which causes polarization is the current changes in the distribution of ions at the electrolyte interface. So because of the distribution of the ions, there is a change of current. Okay, so that is one of the cause. of this polarization. The third one, it is called as the activation over potential. So the current changes the rate of oxidation and reduction. So this third cause, it is because of oxidation and reduction. Because the potentials are when this electrode and electrolyte, they are together, either oxidation or reduction happens, some chemical reaction happens, and because of that some ions are produced. Okay, so corresponding to that there is some activation energy, and this results in some activation over potential. So these are the three causes for this polarization. Ohmic laws, distribution of ions, and the of activation over potential due to oxidation and reduction. Okay, so this total over potential, it is because of all the three factors: ohmic laws, concentration over potential, and the activation over potential. Okay, now what is the effect of this polarization, whether it is desired or not? Okay, so based on this polarization, there are two types of electrodes, either the perfectly polarized electrodes and perfectly non-polarizable electrodes. So polarizable electrodes means these are the electrodes in which no actual charge crosses the electrolyte interface when the current is applied. Now in this case, the current across the surface, it is because of the displacement current. Okay, now when we studied electromagnetics, at that time we have studied what is the concept of displacement current. So usually this displacement current occurs in case of capacitors. So that's why these perfectly polarizable electrodes, they function as capacitor, so they behave as capacitor. So that's why the equivalent circuit, it is represented in terms of capacitor here. Okay, whereas the non-polarizable electrodes, the current passes freely across the electrolyte interface. So it is, that's why it is represented in the form of resistance. And the example in this case, it is platinum electrode, non-polarizable electrode, and the polarizable electrodes are silver chloride. Okay, so the polarizable electrodes are useful for recording purpose. Recording means for measurement of various biopotentials, whereas this non-polarizable electrodes, these are useful for stimulation purpose. Stimulation purpose means supplying some external electricity to the tissue or the organ. So that is about polarizable and non-polarizable electrodes. Okay, now there are the, as far as the equivalent circuit is concerned, this resistance, as we have seen, the polarizable electrodes, they are represented in terms of capacitor. So that capacitor, it is the C, and resistance, there will be some resistance for this electrode. So it is represented in the form of series combination of resistance and capacitor. Okay, so electrode terminal one side, on the other side there is electrolyte. Now if we include the leakage resistance, now this capacitor here, this is not ideal capacitor. So we know if the capacitor is not ideal, that means there will be some leakage there, current leakage. Okay, so that leakage is represented by this resistance R1 here. So if we include this resistance R1, it is called as the Faradic leakage resistance. Now since there is a capacitor here, the behavior of this electrode, it will be frequency dependent. So this diagram, it shows the frequency response for this electrodes with assuming this equivalent circuit. So this side it is the frequency on the x-axis, and on the y-axis it is impedance, magnitude of the impedance. Okay, so as the frequency increases, the impedance will go on decreasing because there is a capacitance involved here. Okay, at lower frequencies the impedance is Rd plus Rs, sum of the two resistances. Now, for practical purpose, we have seen that we always use a pair of electrodes for measurement of the biopotential. So there will be electrode 1. So this circuit represents the equivalent circuit of electrode 1, and there will be another electrode called as the electrode 2. So, okay, so electrode 1 and electrode 2. So this is the equivalent circuit for a pair of electrodes. Otherwise it is similar. So R1, C1, this is the resistance and capacitance. RF1, that is the leakage resistance, Faradic leakage resistance. RF2, it is the Faradic leakage resistance for electrode 2. And E1 and E2, these are the corresponding potentials for these electrodes. So as listed here, R1, R2 is the resistance, E1 and E2, it is the half cell potential corresponding to those two electrodes. C1 and C2, it is the capacitance. Now Z1 and Z2, it is called as a skin contact impedance. So the skin contact impedance includes RF1, R1 and C1 for electrode 1, and for electrode 2, it includes R2, C2 and RF2. Now this side, this is body tissue. This is the equivalent circuit for body tissue and fluids, because here we will be connecting electrode 1, here we will be connecting electrode 2, and in between there will be some body part. So the impedance of the body tissues, it is represented by this equivalent circuit, R, CT and RT and EB. So RT and CT, it is the tissue resistance and capacitance. RF1 and RF2, it is the Faradic leakage resistance, and EB, it is the bioelectric event. So this is the equivalent circuit of a pair of electrodes. Okay. Now the motion artifact. Now see, many times we use this electrodes, we connect these electrodes to some body part. For example, if you connect the electrodes to hand or limb, obviously there will be some movement. Okay, and because of this movement, there will be because the electrode, it is connected to body part through some jelly material. So there will be some movement of that, and because of that movement, it results in some fluctuation in the corresponding potentials. So those things are called as motion artifacts. So why this motion artifact? When the electrode moves with respect to the electrolyte, the distribution of a double layer of charge on polarizable electrode interface changes. So this changes the half cell potential temporarily. So because of the movement of the electrode, there will be some temporary half cell potential change. That is the reason of this motion artifact. Now, what exactly is this motion artifact? If a pair of electrodes is in electrolyte and one moves with respect to the other, a potential difference appears across the electrodes, and that is called as motion artifact. This is a source of noise and interference in biopotential measurements. So this motion artifact, it results in some fluctuations of the potentials, and that we call it as the noise or the interference. And it is to be avoided. It should be minimized as far as possible. Now the motion artifact, it is minimum for non-polarizable electrodes. So the polarizable electrode, they are more affected by this motion artifact. Okay. Now we'll discuss about different types of electrodes. Earlier we have discussed there are mainly three types of electrodes: the body surface electrodes, microelectrodes, and needle electrodes. So we will discuss some of those. Okay. So in this diagram, a body surface electrode is shown for the recording purpose. Okay. So what you see here, this is a skin here. Okay. And there is a connector here. This is a electrode metal. This is the metal, electrode metal. And there is some adhesive is used, because the electrode, since it is a metal part, it cannot be kept directly on the skin, because there will be a lot of movements there. Okay, and there will be some proper bonding also with the skin. So for that purpose, some adhesive is used, so which is shown here. And between this metal part and the skin, there is an electrolyte. Between the metal part and the skin, there is an electrolyte. So as we have seen earlier, electrode, it is not directly connected to skin. It is connected through some electrolyte. Many times this electrolyte, it is in the form of some jelly material. Okay, and this electrolyte, it is soaked in some sponge. So there is some sponge here, and within that sponge, this electrolyte is there, so that the body, there will be some comfort while using this electrode, because metal, if it is directly connected to the body, it gives a discomfort, as well as there will be the electrical connection also, it will not be good. So this is how these surface recording electrodes are manufactured. Again, for this surface recording electrodes, there are many types: metal plate electrodes, suction electrodes, floating electrodes, and flexible electrodes. So we'll discuss these electrodes now. The metal plate electrodes, suction electrodes, and floating electrodes, flexible electrodes, all are body surface recording electrodes. Okay. So this is a metal plate electrode. The first one, metal plate electrode. So as you can see, this is figure A. It is a metal plate electrode used for applications to limbs. So that's why it has some curve. There is some curve here, because it is connected to limb, and from this point it will go to some instrument, some cable you can connect here. Okay. Then in figure B, it is the metal disc electrode. Metal disc electrode applied with a surgical tape. Then C, it is the disposable foam pad used with the ECG electrodes. Okay. So there is some snap here which can be disconnected from this. Okay. Metal disc and electrolyte at the center, what you see here. And this is the adhesive tape on surface of the pad. Okay. Now this metal plate electrodes, what the features of metal plate electrodes, they have a large surface, and these are the very ancient electrodes, and they are still in use for measurement of ECG. The metal electrode, the metal used, it is usually a stainless steel, platinum, or gold coated material. And the applications of this type of electrodes are for EMG and EEG. That is, EMG means electromyograph, that is for measurement of potential from the muscles. And EEG, it stands for electroencephalograph, that is we have seen earlier, it is for the brain signals. They are smaller in diameter, and there is a problem of motion artifacts with these type of electrodes, because if the movement of the surface takes place, that means the hand or limb, if some motion takes place, then the artifacts are produced. There will be some disturbances or the noise and interference is produced. The disposable foam pads which are used here, they are cheap, so cost wise they are economical. Okay, so this is about the surface electrodes of type metal plate electrodes. Then these are the suction electrode. So suction electrode, you can see here there is a rubber bulb. Okay, now when you push this rubber bulb, it will push and release this rubber bulb. It will produce some vacuum here, and because of that vacuum, it will get attached with the skin, and this is the lead here, lead terminal. So this is called as a suction electrode. There are no straps or no adhesives. In the earlier type of electrodes here, we have seen some adhesives are required here to attach it with the skin. But in case of suction electrodes, the adhesives are not necessary, because it will get attached because of the vacuum. Okay, these are mostly used for measurement of ECG, that means to apply on chest, and this can be used for only short periods, right? Because mechanically this contact surface, it is some metal here, and when you push this rubber bulb, some vacuum is produced here, and because of the vacuum, it gets attached to the skin. Okay, so you cannot keep it for a longer time, otherwise there will be problem with the skin, and it will not be comfortable for the subject. So this is about the suction electrodes. The other type of electrodes are other type of surface electrodes are floating electrodes. Okay, so the floating electrodes, there is a metal disc there. Why it is called as floating? Because the electrode is actually swimming in the electrolyte gel, and that's why it is called as the floating electrode. And it is not in direct contact with the skin. And the advantage of this is it reduces motion artifact. The floating electrodes reduces motion artifacts. Okay, so this is the diagram of the floating electrode. So as we have seen, in this case, the metal part, it is swimming in the liquid. The liquid means it is the electrolyte gel, so it is not in directly contact with the skin. So here this is adhesive tape, and this is the insulating package here, metal disc. This metal disc is actually the electrode. The metal disc, this is the electrode, and this is connected to some cable outside. Okay, now as I said, this metal, it is not directly connected to the skin, so in between there is a electrolyte here. So this metal, actually it is swimming in the electrolytes, that's why it is called as floating electrode. The bottom double-sided adhesive tape, it is a disposable one. Okay, so this second diagram, this shows the construction in somewhat more details. Okay, dead cellular material foam pad, plastic cup, external snap, gel coated sponge, and so on. And the material used for this metal, it is silver chloride. So this is about the floating electrode. Then the third type of surface electrodes are flexible electrodes. Okay, now this flexible electrodes, they will be more comfortable while planting on the body parts. Okay, because the body contours are not regular. For example, if you take any body part like hand or leg, limb, you cannot define it by a perfect shape like cylinder or flat surface like that. Okay, so it becomes very difficult to manufacture the surface electrodes which can be exactly mounted on the body part. So that's why these flexible electrodes, they will be more useful because the body contours are not regular. So regularly shaped rigid electrodes may not always work, and particularly in case of infants, it will be very difficult to use the perfectly shaped electrodes, surface electrodes. Okay, the material used is polymer or nylon with silver and carbon filled with silicon rubber. So this is about the surface electrodes. Now flexible electrodes. This is the diagram shown in this flexible electrodes. Conductive rubber, there is a pin connector here. Now this conductive rubber, this part will be mounted on the body surface. Since it is a flexible, it can adopt any shape, and there is a pin connector. So this pin you can insert inside this socket. Okay. Then mylar film with silver chloride surface. So this is some another type of surface electrode. This third one, lead wire conductive adhesive, right? 13 micrometer thick mylar substrate, silver film, silver chloride film. So these are different types of flexible surface electrodes. The first one, it is carbon filled silicon rubber electrode. This one. Second one, flexible thin film neonatal electrode. This one. And the last one, cross sectional view of the flexible thin film neonatal electrode. Okay. So we have discussed about the surface electrodes and different types of surface electrodes. Now, sometimes it is necessary to take measurements from inside. Surface electrodes will be useful only when you want to take measurements just from the body surface of the skin surface. Okay, but sometimes you need to take the you need to take biopotential measurements from inside of the body. That means maybe some muscles or some nerve cells related to nervous system and so on. So in that case, the internal electrodes are used. So mostly those are needle or wire electrodes. So here in this diagram, various types of needle electrodes are shown. The first one, that is A, this is insulated needle electrode. So you can see here sharp metallic point, that is the needle, insulating coating outside, and the lead wire. Then this B, the second one, there is an insulation here. Second one, it is a coaxial needle electrode. So you can see here, it is just like some coaxial tube. So there is an insulation, central electrode, and the outer electrode called as the hypodermic needle. It is just like a coaxial cable. Okay. Then C, It is a bipolar coaxial electrode. So again, it is similar to B, but there is some small difference in construction here. So okay, so there is the insulation electrodes, and again the hypodermic needle, so similar to coaxial one. So as you can see here, bipole, inside this insulation there is one conductor here and other conductor. I'll just draw bigger diagram. Okay, so if you see, take cross section of this, there is one conductor here and one conductor here. So that's why bipolar coaxial electrode. So this diagram shows that. Okay, then D, it is a fine wire electrode connected to hypodermic needle. So this wire, it is brought outside and then it is connected from outside. Again, you can see here this fine wire. Okay, then E, cross-sectional view of the skin and muscle showing coiled fine wire electrode in place. So E and F. This is a coiled wire, and this shows the cross-section of the skin area, skin or the muscle area, and how it is actually inserted in the skin. You can see this cable, fine wire, it is coming inside the skin and it's like this. Okay, so these are the internal electrodes called as the needle electrodes. Then fetal ECG electrodes. So for measurement of fetal ECG, these type of electrodes are used. So there is a suction cup here, electrode and a lead wire. And this is the part B, shows the cross section of this. And this C, figure C shows the helical electrode, which is attached to fetal skin by corkscrew type of action. So these are the fetal electrodes. You can see here the reference electrode is there, and this is another electrode, because for as we have discussed earlier, for measurement purpose, for measurement of potential, we always need two electrodes. Okay, so as you can see here, a reference electrode and the electrode here, and this is the fetal skin. Now these are electrode arrays. So similar to antenna arrays, for particular applications, the micro-fabricated electrode arrays can be used. So this shows one-dimensional, two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, and so on. Okay. Then one more type of electrodes, as we have seen earlier, it is micro electrodes. Now sometimes it is necessary to carry out measurement of potential from a single cell across the cell membrane. Then in that case, microelectrodes are used. Okay. Now, what are the requirements of microelectrodes? They should be small enough. The size should be very small so that it can penetrate into a cell, as well as it should be strong enough to penetrate cell membrane. So the typical dimensions are 0.05 to 10 microns. The types of microelectrodes are solid metal made of tungsten microelectrodes, then the supported metal contained within outside glass needle, and micropipette. So this micropipette, which uses silver chloride as the electrode metal. Metal microelectrodes. Now this diagram shows the construction of a metal microelectrode. Okay, so you can see here in the cylindrical shape, there is a supporting shaft here. Then this is the inside, it is the metal. It's a metal. there is some problem in my, okay. I think there is some problem in my pen here, digital pen, it's not working. Okay, so there is a supporting metal, then insulation shaft, and the tip you can see the small tip here, which is in microns. So these type of electrodes are used in brain, where you are interested in recording the firing of the neurons. Okay. I think we'll stop now. It's almost 10:45. So this is about the metal microelectrodes. So we use here electrodes, and there is some insulation here, and the output of this metal microelectrode, it goes to a high impedance amplifier with negative capacitance amplifier. So for those type of amplifiers, the output of these microelectrodes are connected, and particularly these are used for measurement of very small, or typically from the brain, firing of the neurons. Okay, these are metal supported microelectrodes, metal inside the glass, and in the other diagram it's a glass inside the metal. So here there is a metal inside this glass, whereas in the second case there is a glass inside there is a glass, and outside is the metal film. So the construction is different. Okay. Okay. Now this is the last point I will discuss, and then this topic is over. Okay. So the last type of electrodes, it is a stimulating electrodes. Stimulating electrodes are the electrodes which are used to supply electrical energy from outside of the body, externally. So typically, you might be knowing there are some shock treatments. So in case of those shock treatments, we supply some external electricity to the body. So in that, those type of electrodes are called as stimulating electrodes. So stimulating electrodes cannot be modeled as a series resistance or capacitance. There is no single useful model in this case. The body electrode has high nonlinear response to simulation. Large currents can cause cavitation, cell damage, and heating. The type of electrodes used, material used, it is platinum electrodes. And the application of these type of electrodes, mostly it is in case of neural simulation or nerves. Okay. The types of stimulating electrodes are pacing, ablation, and defibrillation. Now these things are not expected in details from us. It is just to give you idea I am telling you. Okay, so these are actually different processes. Defibrillation. Defibrillation, it is actually giving a little shock to the heart muscles. Pacing also, it is related to heart. Okay. So for pacemakers and defibrillators, we use steel electrodes. So that is all about electrodes, what we have discussed today. So this is end of unit number 1. Next time we will discuss we'll start unit number 2, cardiovascular system. Okay, so let us stop here.